Budgeting. It's a scary word. Whenever my husband used to say, I think we need a budget, it's like he secretly knew I was hiding new purchases in my trunk, just waiting for him to turn the corner so I could sneak them into the house. Just kidding. I mean, not really. I'm not really kidding at all. But a few weeks ago, we were on our monthly Blossoming Teacher call, and I was asking our new members what type of PD they wanted for the summer. For those of you who don't know, each month our Blossoming Teacher members get live PD as part of their membership. One of the first things they asked for was budgeting tips as a first-year teacher. And of course, their wish is my command. So if you've been on my Instagram lately, you've probably seen me asking a few different types of questions related to budgeting as a first-year teacher. From the surveys that I've sent out, the main ask has been for budgeting tips related to paying off loans, setting a monthly budget, finding reasonably priced classroom supplies, and saving for the future. But because there are literally so many different directions that I could take each of these topics, I've decided to split this up into a 3-episode series. So welcome to part 1, where we are going to be talking all about paying off your loans. Before we get into things though, I do just want to take a quick minute to tell you something so exciting. If you haven't joined the Blossoming Teacher course yet and budgeting is something that you need more tips on, especially as a first-year teacher, come on over, come join our group. We're going to be talking about finding classroom supplies on a budget. We are going to be talking about how you can set yourself up for success for the future. So come on in, join our membership. We would absolutely love to have you. If you're ready to invest in yourself, to prepare for your first year of teaching, and to find the support and encouragement that you've been looking for, be sure to join us by May 3rd so that you can get in on this live training. And I just want you to know, if you already know you're busy on May 3rd, but you know this is something you want to be a part of, you can also catch the replay, which will be saved inside of our Teacher PD portal. So be sure to head to ndteaching.com/blossom and you can join now. And with that, let's get into today's episode.
Welcome to the North Dakota Teaching Podcast. Whether you're a first-year teacher, veteran teacher, or just a mom trying to gain some new insights, you are right where you are meant to be. Kayla Durkin, founder of the Blossoming Teacher course, is passionate about helping new teachers blossom into the teacher they were born to be. Kayla wants to help inspire teachers to be their best self, whether that means sharing about personal or professional development, self-care, or the latest and most effective teaching strategies. Through this podcast, you will hear from real teachers sharing their stories about teaching, all with one main goal in mind: to be able to make an impact and help other teachers blossom. And with that, here is your host, Kayla Durkin.
Hey friends, can we start out with a disclaimer today? I'm a little anxious about starting this budgeting series because one of the biggest things first-year teachers have asked is that I give real-life numbers and examples. You know that I'm all about being transparent, and I absolutely want to do that for you. But please, please, please know these 2 things. 1, every single person's journey is different, and what's realistic for me might not be realistic for you. And 2, please know I'm humbly sharing my journey with you, these tips with you, and these real life numbers with you. I absolutely do not want you to think, like I don't even want to say it, but I just really don't want you to think that I'm bragging. So today we're kicking things off with talking about how we can pay off those darn student loans. Ready or not, those bills will be arriving in your mailbox sooner than later. And if you're as lucky as me, that loan statement will arrive on the exact same day as your diploma. I mean, seriously, what are the odds? Depending on when you graduated, you might have to start paying your loans before you even begin your first teaching job, which is actually what happened to me. I graduated in December of 2014 with my elementary education degree, a minor in mathematics, and $21,000 worth of student loan debt. For those of you who are requesting the real details and numbers, this next part is for you. Right after I break down my $21,000 worth of debt, we're going to be talking about how I paid it all off. I'm sure you're already wondering how I escaped college with only $21,000 in debt, and here's how. But just as I said, all of our journeys are different, so it's okay if this journey doesn't look the same as how yours looked. I went to the University of North Dakota, where tuition, room, and board averaged about $14,000 per year. Right off the bat, that equates to about $56,000. However, I was only eligible for about $7,000 of financial aid each year. So in addition to not wanting $56,000 worth of debt and only being eligible for about half of what I needed as financial aid, I knew I needed to set myself up for success. And there are 3 ways I did this: scholarships, working my way throughout high school and college, and graduating college early. Let's start with scholarships. In high school, I was fortunate enough to have a counselor who helped me get into the right classes so that I could get a $6,000 CTE scholarship, which was dispersed as $750 per semester. In addition to that, one of the incentives at UND was a $4,000 scholarship, or $500 per semester if your ACT score met a certain requirement. I was enrolled for 7 semesters, so I was eligible for 8,750 of those, plus I did receive a few smaller scholarships, so in total I had around $10,000 worth of scholarships. Next, I worked all throughout high school and a little bit through college, but I also worked full-time every single summer. Each year when tuition was due, I would accept the financial aid that I was eligible for, and then I would use whatever I made that summer to pay off the rest, to buy books, to pay for living expenses, and so on. Lastly, I started looking at the roadmap to graduation right away when I joined college, and I realized I could get all of my credits in within 3 years. Did I miss out on not being on campus during that 4th year? I'm pretty sure I did, but at the same time, I was just so excited to start teaching, so I never really regretted it. In all, that $7,000 that I took out each year left me with $21,000 worth of debt after 3 years of college. And honestly, I paid off that $21,000 in less than 3 years. I'm pretty sure it was about 32 months to be exact. Again, whether you have more debt or less debt, whether it takes you more time or less time, please know all of our journeys are different. Okay, so when we start talking about paying back student debt, there are 2 main avenues we can take. One just so happens to be grants and loan forgiveness programs, and then the second one is just being disciplined enough to actually make the payments. So let's start with grants and loan forgiveness. Did you know that you might be eligible for loan forgiveness? Now, please know, sometimes loan forgiveness programs can be a long-term game. There are some loan forgiveness programs that you might be eligible for after only teaching for 1 year, sometimes after 2 or 3, but some of them you might not be eligible for until you finish teaching for a full 5 years. But if you do have a lot of loans, chances are it'll probably take you 5 years, if not more, to pay off. So sometimes you just have to wait out that long game. If you Google teacher loan forgiveness, chances are the first website you'll see is studentaid.com. Right away, this website says, under the Teacher Loan Forgiveness Program, if you teach full-time for 5 complete and consecutive academic years in a low-income school or educational service agency and meet other qualifications, you might be eligible for forgiveness of up to $17,500 on your direct subsidized and unsubsidized loans and your subsidized and unsubsidized federal Stafford loans. So again, like I said, if you have a high amount of loans and you know that there's no way that you could get them paid off in 5 years, this is definitely something that you're going to want to look into. Additionally, I also want to mention that each state offers various teacher loan forgiveness programs and even STEM forgiveness programs, meaning if you teach in a class that falls under a STEM category, you could also be eligible for those. North Dakota's loan forgiveness program has went through quite a few changes in the recent years, so years that I thought I might be eligible, the program ended up changing. Other years, the funding actually ran out and I wasn't able to get any of it. Regardless, I kept applying, I kept searching, I kept reaching out, and it paid off for me. Over those 3 years, I was able to receive about $5,500 in student loan forgiveness, which meant I actually only had to pay off $15,500 because those loan forgiveness programs helped me out. Now, here's one thing that might catch you by surprise. This loan forgiveness, it's not just free money. It actually counts as income. So that $5,500 I got in loan forgiveness, I had to pay taxes on that when tax season rolled around. Are you surprised? I mean, I sure was. As you're looking for jobs and you're thinking about the amount of student debt that you have, I also want you to start looking into low-income school districts, Title I school districts that have a large teacher shortage. There are many, many, many different schools across the United States who actually offer sign-on bonuses for new teachers. They do loan forgiveness programs for teachers who commit to teaching there for a certain amount of years. Sometimes it's if you teach 1 year, you'll get this tier, 2 years, this tier, 3 years, this tier, or possibly if you teach 5 years, you'll get in a lump sum. Those are all programs that are worth looking into. I mean, personally, I have had friends who have upwards of $100,000 worth of student debt from getting their teaching degree. That's a lot of money. And so being able to work in a school district that might help you pay that off, it's going to be beneficial for you. And chances are, if those are low-income areas or Title I areas, your housing expenses and all of that might actually be a little bit lower as well. So here are a few things that I want you to remember when you're searching out for your student loan forgiveness programs. 1, it takes time. You might have to spend multiple hours scavenging different websites, reaching out, asking questions, and simply applying. 2, you'll need to check back regularly. You'll definitely want to mark your calendar. I know you hear me say that all the time, but if they say that information is going to be posted on a certain day or month, you absolutely do not want to miss out. Put that date on your calendar, set it a few days ahead of time so that you don't forget to check back, and just make sure that you know that it's coming up. Number 3, apply for anything and everything that you can. The worst that can happen is that you'll get declined. And if you spend an hour applying and you get declined versus you spend an hour applying and they end up giving you upwards of $1,000 to $5,000 in forgiveness, that hour was definitely worth it. Number 4, with that, just remember that just because you applied doesn't mean you're automatically going to qualify. And just like me, when I applied, the funds ran out. So just remember, just because you put that application in there, it doesn't mean you are automatically going to get that money. Number 5, ask a veteran teacher, ask your friends in the building, ask in teacher Facebook pages. If your state has a Facebook page, if your district has a Facebook page, post in there and see how other teachers got loan forgiveness. It might feel a little bit awkward to make a post like that, but seriously, people who have got loan forgiveness, they want to brag about it almost. They want to say, oh my gosh, I got this. You should see if you can too. Number 6, ask your principal or your superintendent or even your counselor. Any one of those people might have some information that you possibly don't. And number 7, absolutely do not give up. Anything worthwhile takes time. And with that, friends, you know that I still have $15,000 worth of loans that I need to explain to you how I got paid off in 3 years on my teaching salary. So don't worry, next week we are going to be diving into budgeting and paying off those student loans with your cold, hard-earned cash. But in the meantime, do some research on those loan forgiveness programs. Look up what your state offers. Ask around, ask a friend, ask a colleague, ask on that Facebook page. Put it out there and see what people say. Money can definitely be a stressful thing, but we're in this together. And absolutely, do not forget to mark your calendar if you are a Blossoming Teacher member, because we are going to have our coaching call on May 3rd at 7 p.m. Central Time. And I absolutely am truly hoping that I will get to see you there. Alrighty, friends, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next week.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the North Dakota Teaching Podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate that effort. Be sure to tune in to the next episode for more teaching tips to make an impact. Until next time.